What's going on, guys? Ryan from American Motorsports here. Welcome to our very first episode on our YouTube channel. We're long overdue for a YouTube channel. It seems to be the way of the future. We have a lot of great content to bring to you guys, a lot of great things to show you, product reviews, project cars, track days, everything you can imagine. We're going to kick it off on our first episode here with a car that I actually bought from the west coast of Florida. It's a 1970 Nova. We call it Steely Danielle right here. There's a lengthy amount of photos documenting our whole process behind this car. There's some videos, pictures in this episode that we're going to do right now. We bought this car as a bone stock shell. Been sitting in a yard for 5-6 years, somewhere around that time. I already had an engine and transmission from my last car. It was a 275 radial car we did some no time stuff with. It's a big block Chevrolet Power Glide 4.9-inch. Almost as common as an LS. Car started out, like I said, bone stock, grandma car, bench seat, bare shell. Step one was the chassis phase. A good friend of mine, Jared Denbrook, did the chassis in 28 nights after work, driving an hour each direction from his house to the location that we did the chassis at. Huge kudos to that guy. He has no quit in him. My buddy Chance the same way. Every time I wanted to give up on this thing and set it on fire and throw it in the dumpster, both of them, just kept calling me weak and telling me to get through it. So we muscled through. We finished the entire car in 72 days, start to finish. It's a 650 certified chassis. After the chassis work, we brought it here, did some mock-up of the drivetrain components, rear end, leaf spring setup, the engine, transmission, all that stuff, and then immediately to paint. Went to paint. I think my painter, good friend of mine, Danny Jones, did the paint and body in 16 days. I think 12 or 13 days of that was body work. I think 16th or 15th day, the 15th day at night, he sprayed the base. In the morning, sprayed the clear. I was there 2 hours after picking it up. Brought it straight to the shop. A big group of guys showed up to help me and surprised me. Good friend of mine, Chuck, Donnie from Atlas Glass, Robert Scott. All these guys showed up. Chuck's son, Ian. They all showed up, helped me get the motor, transmission, front plate, mid plate. Everything went in. 25 minutes, everything was folded in. So everybody left. Of course, I stayed and got as much done as I could. After that, it was, 20 days and nights after work of, 3, 4, 5 in the morning, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. We built this whole car, I think, in flip-flops, 99% of it at least. Got the whole car together, took it to a good friend of mine in North Georgia, Felipe. He did all the Fuel Tech wiring for the car, the FT550 ECU, the wide bands, the switch panel, the coil unplug, the cam sync, water pump, fuel pump, transmission cooler, trans brake, anything powertrain related. This guy's responsible for wiring, and it turned out absolutely top notch. Everything's heat shrunk with labels on it. Huge CPC connector on the firewall. Did all the configuration of the Fuel Tech for me, so I didn't have to. I dropped the car off, took my wife on vacation for a week. The following week when we returned, got to Felipe's house from Orlando. I think it's an 8-hour drive, 6 to 8 hour drive, depending on how many laws you break. Got there at midnight with my carburetor guy, Travis, and stayed up till I think 4:30 in the morning. wiring and finishing everything we could. I think we went to bed about 5, woke up at 7:30, straight to Fuel Tech we went. Put this thing on the hub dyno. He configured the ECU while it was on the hub dyno. We did our initial startup. Engine sat for 2 years on a stand. Got everything warmed up, checked the valves, made a couple rips. We had some small converter problems that I think we got figured out. Didn't really like aim for, you know, the highest horsepower number. We didn't, you know, spray it on the dyno. None of that. We just wanted everything with the coil on plug setup to run right. We wanted the engine to run right. We wanted to make sure nothing was worn from sitting or, you know, anything weird that could come about from these things just being pushed in the corner, basically. Transmission worked out great. FPI, put a 164 first gear in it for me and built a converter for this combination. I'm actually running a class limited jet for a limited 235. So the converter I had before for big jet fogger and a second stage wasn't going to work. So they did a great job building everything super solid, great turnaround time. They really helped me out. After our hub dyno, we brought it back here to Orlando and assembled the rest of the car. Basically, we got all the little detail stuff done. This car is a full steel, nothing cut out, 4 window regulators in it, back seat. The AM/FM radio works with a Bluetooth adapter. The factory fuel gauge works. It's got a sender in the 4-gallon fuel cell that we made. I mean, this car it's a real Nova. It's got a full subframe in it. It's not cut up. It's got stock rear frame rails, stamped steel frame rails, whatever they are. Leaf spring cow track. It's got LP Racing sliders on the back of it. The interior is completely stock steering wheel, stock column, stock dash. The console we kind of made to fit all the Fuel Tech stuff, the shifters, shifts Illinois. Henderson made the seat brackets, worked out flawless. Innovative Racecraft helped us with a lot of stuff. Troy got us shocks, limiters, leaf spring buckets. I mean, everything imaginable that I needed like right now to get this thing done so quickly. They were on top of. Same thing with TRZ Motorsports, rack conversion, spindles. Man, just everybody that had a part in this thing, they were on the ball when it came to everything. Even my glass guy, man, he told me to give him a day. I gave him a day. He was there, got the windows in. Everything's urethaned in. All the glass is perfect. Donnie at Atlas Glass did a great job with that stuff. So, this is our episode 1. I will walk you around the car and show you some of the goodies on it, and then you'll watch a slideshow and some videos of the entire project. There's some good videos of burnouts. There's some good idling videos, some great content. Episode 2 is going to be at the track. Hopefully in the next 2 weeks, I'd say. We should be out testing, and we're going to look to set the world on fire with this thing on this tiny tire. It's built how I wanted it to be built. It has everything that I wanted it to have, down to the dog dish hubcaps and double bead locks. This thing is it's a pretty neat car. So I'll leave you to it. All right, guys, here she is. This is Steely Danielle. Like I said, it's a 1970 Nova. Limited 235 is the class that it's set up for right now. We'll probably do a little bit of no time racing at some point with the car, maybe on a bigger tire. We haven't decided yet, 235 or 275. It fits both. So we'll see what route and direction we go with it. Like I said, it's a Nova. It's a real Nova. It's not a steel roof and quarters with a bunch of carbon fiber or fiberglass. car's got a full back seat with padding and springs, and the radio works, stock door panels. Nothing's cut out of this car whatsoever. The only thing I think we're missing at this point is a headliner, and that's only because I don't want to do a headliner. So we will get that to the headliner guy here at some point after we do some testing. I think that's the most important thing right now, is getting this thing down the track. So it's a big block Chevy, like I said earlier, 575 cubic inch, coil on plug setup. It's still carbureted. We didn't quite do the EFI jump yet. It's probably gonna happen in the future at some point, as much as my carburetor guy doesn't want to hear it, but it's the way of the future. We kind of wanted to see how much power we could get out of this carburetor. We have a lot of customers that are carburetor junkies. They are deathly afraid of making the jump to EFI, which is completely understandable. It's hard to carry a tuner in your pocket everywhere you go, and some guys just don't want to deal with it. So let's see how fast we can go with a carburetor against a bunch of EFI cars. It's got a 4-gallon fuel cell. Car runs on Q16. This carburetor, I believe a 2300 Butterfly, 1800-ish CFM. And it is just, it's absolutely a piece. This thing works great. Picked up a lot of power with this carburetor. It's all BLP parts that my guy here at American Motorsports assembles and tunes, and he builds these things for customers every day. So give him a call if you need a gangster Stone Age carburetor built. It's very basic. Cast intake, single stage for this class. We do have a plate that goes on pretty quickly if we want to do some after hours partying. It's got a power glide, off the shelf headers. These headers are from Dynatech. They're for a tall deck, 67 through 9 Camaro or 68 to 72 Nova. And even with this engine moved forward and down like it is, these things just slid right on and bolted on. So great deal to them. It's very hard to find these days. All the glass is, I think, new, other than the back glass and the door windows. We went with 73 door windows to get rid of the vent. I like the vent, but this car, I wanted it to be sleek. So we're one piece there. The trunk is a trunk. It's got a spare tire that actually bolts onto the car in case we get a flat in the front. It's a little bit heavier, but we'll make do. It's got a lithium 2000 cranking amp battery from Full Spectrum Power. This thing is absolutely insane. As long as you do what they tell you to do, this thing's an absolute powerhouse. It does have an alternator on it also. I do not like having voltage problems. I've had them in the past, and all it resulted in was steering wheels being thrown and a lot of bad words. So no more of those, but that's just about it. Titled, registered, insured. So we'll get you guys on the slideshow of the process of building the car, followed by some videos. Stay tuned for episode 2 when we finally take this thing to the track and see what it's gonna do. It's either gonna fly or it's gonna run the crankshaft over. Either way, we're gonna have a good time. All right, guys, that's the end of episode 1. Like, comment, subscribe, share, whatever it is you guys do, make it happen. Stay tuned for episode 2. We'll be at the track testing, see what this thing's gonna do. Check out our Facebook, American Motorsports, our Instagram at The American Motorsports, and visit our website, www.americanmotorsports.net. See ya.